Holland releases on Amazon Prime Video today. Actually, it's on there now, but I got to see an early screening in the theaters just a couple of days ago. Here is my review. Before I dive right in, please make sure to go down below. Tell me what are your expectations for Holland, and if you went to the South by Southwest Film Festival, which it did premiere at, what were your opinions on it? I want to know all that and more. While you're down there, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the bell so you never miss another 2025 movie review. And with that said, my expectations going into this movie were not high. After a film festival, which is one of the best ways to see movies, had a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes out of 30 reviews. Not a good sign. It's not a good sign to have that low of a percentage out of a film festival. And then, it's Amazon Prime. I had no idea what it was. I just knew it was a thriller movie. I just didn't have any expectations into it. I went into it knowing that I could fully walk out of the movie and saying I hated it. But it's one of the most surprising movies of the year. I really, really, really liked this movie. I'm a huge fan of thrillers. It's one of my personal favorite genres. I love intense sequences. I love secrets. I love mysteries. Love all of that stuff. And so this was a thriller. And for the first about hour and 20 minutes of the movie, it was a romantic thriller, which a lot of people, you hear romantic thriller, it turns you off. It's about this woman trying to find out if her husband's cheating on him. That turns a lot of people off. Typically, it would turn me off. This would not be a movie I'd be watching if I knew it was a romantic thriller. But somehow, I was invested thoroughly. It was because of the direction was unique, the cast was great, kept me invested and wanted to know the answers. And then when we get to the final 30 minutes of the movie, it goes from this low to this high. Now, I was kind of anticipating a big twist. I was kind of figuring it out along the way. And when it happened, I wasn't super surprised. But it did enough to be like, whoa, that was crazy. And it was a drastic tonal shift. It goes from romantic thriller to full horror for the last 30 minutes. Now, when we head into those last 30 minutes, the big issue I had here is the story did feel a little bit convoluted. Not super convoluted to where it really affected my opinions of the movie, but it did feel convoluted enough to be like, okay, but there's a certain scene that you think it's going to end, and I'm glad it didn't end there because I did not like where we were left off at that point. But it felt like it was going to end there, and then it feels like we were doing some conventional ways to keep the story going for about 10 minutes. That 10-minute spectrum was the worst part of the movie by far. But after the 10 minutes, the story gets me fully invested again. It does something there. So I can't really complain too much, even though the conventionalness of the third act was my biggest problem, even though I really did like the third act, and I really liked the tonal shift. So be expecting a huge tonal shift. If you are a horror fan like me, I walked out of this one absolutely loving it. Another big thing I loved here was the cast. Obviously, we start out with Nicole Kidman, lead in here. She's great in everything she's in, and she is just so good in this movie. Big standout was Matthew McFadyen for me, where I saw him in Deadpool and Wolverine. Kind of thought he was annoying in that movie. And here, I just think he's incredible. He's fantastic. He's able to have these intense moments. He's able to have secrets. You're scared of him when you need to be scared of him. I think his character worked inside here. And I thought Matthew McFadyen was great in here. I'm going to try to say his name. I'm probably going to blow it up. It's Gael Garcia Bernal. I think he plays Dave in the movie. He's also really, really good in here. So just a pretty stacked cast from the get-go. Another big thing that I loved about this movie was the direction and the style. It feels like you're watching a movie that was made in the 70s or the 80s throughout the entire movie. Got the fuzz on the screen. Don't got all this high-tech look-alike stuff. It just feels like a classic movie you'd see in the 80s or 90s. And the direction really worked. As soon as you get into this movie, you feel like you're thrown directly into this world, into this part of Michigan. And it just immerses you really in there. So I was invested in the story the whole time. I think the third act had really great payoff. There were a couple sequences that were like, okay, what happened to this character? What happened in this aspect of the movie? But overall, didn't really bother me too much because I thought it was a nice blend of thriller, horror vibe here. Loved the cast, loved the vibe. So I had a great time with this movie, not looking forward to it at all, and I'm just so happy I loved it as much as I did. Like I said, third act does have a little bit of conventional, convoluted stuff in there, but it's not too much to completely turn me off, so can't really say much bad about this movie because I really, really liked this movie. It was one of the biggest surprises of the year so far. I really liked Holland. Before I give you my final score, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the bell. And comment down below what is your opinions on Holland if you've seen it already, Amazon Prime Video, or if you're watching this and have been to South by Southwest where it premiered, tell me. How was that experience? Did it enhance the movie? Did it disenhance the movie for you? And with that said, Holland, really, really enjoyed it. Nice vibe, great cast, and a nice nice twist, nice horror vibe in the third act that really got me invested. I was invested throughout the entire movie. And there's a little bit of conventional stuff in the third act. Doesn't really hurt the movie for me. For Holland, I'm going to give it an A-. Thank you guys for clicking on this review. Stay tuned for several more videos. And with that said, subscribe.